Hey, Marley. Say go Pack go.
Go, Pack, go.
Yeah.
One of the answers for Dobbs. He turns around. Did he bring it in? Yes! What a catch by Romeo Dobbs for the touchdown.
I think we may have a new star in Lambeau.
This is Nixon.
Oh, here he goes. My goodness.
They may not like the cold,
He's taking it the distance. And Jones going all the way. Touchdown.
but they represent the green and gold.
Love to Watson.
Going deep, has a man, is caught, Watson is in, touchdown Green Bay!
Welcome to the West Coast Cheeseheads podcast.
Hello, Packer family. I'd love to be able to say that this is going to be an enjoyable episode, but yeah, we really screwed the pooch on this game right here. So I hope you all are doing well. Thank you again for joining us on the West Coast Cheeseheads podcast. As you know, my name's Mateo, alongside with my co-host Joe. And again, thank you for joining. This week, we ended up going up against a Las Vegas Raiders team who really didn't have a lot going on the defensive side, but our offense just could not perform against them. And so we're going to dig deep into this. But first, I'd like to say thank you to all those that have followed us and continue to follow us while we get things underway with the podcast. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe on Facebook at West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast. Also on our Facebook, West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast, Instagram at WC Cheeseheads Podcast, or Twitter and TikTok at WC Cheeseheads. We may not like the cold, but certainly still rep the green and gold. So, Joe, let's dig into this, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling let down by this Packers team. I definitely feel like we've come back down to earth. I think that we were all a little bit riding high after that Week 1 win against Chicago and that Week 3 win against the Saints. These last 2 weeks, we have looked absolutely abysmal against a very good Lions team and a very bad Raiders team. We did not play well on the offensive side. There's, in our eyes, one person to blame for that, but we'll get into it. Really disappointed in how we played against the Raiders.
Yeah, and we are going to dig into it, and we're going to start off with this, okay? Because we all know how much I've actually rode pretty high on this player, but he really, really didn't perform well this game. Jordan Love. So Jordan Love's stats for this game, 16 for 30, 182 yards with no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So his overall rating was 32.2. I mean, those numbers are just not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. I was really hoping that after this Lions game that he was going to be able to come back from this, but I did also have my doubts to see how he was going to perform against this Raiders team. And again, like I mentioned, their defense was badly hurt going into this game, and they were really relying on a lot of their second string and third stringers for that matter. But Jordan Love just couldn't find anybody out there. His balls were all over the place as far as just throwing them in tight coverage and throwing these deep balls just out of desperation to try to get some points on the board, but into double coverage, and was just allowing these interceptions that just made no sense at all. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty disappointed in this game. I was really disappointed in his play and just how he was moving forward, or how he's gonna move forward from this loss.
Yeah, I hate to sound like a broken record. I really do. All of our episodes during preseason, I had mentioned that I do not trust Jordan Love. I do not think he's an NFL caliber quarterback. I do not think he has the knowledge to be an NFL quarterback, and I do not think he has the time under his belt yet to be an NFL quarterback. And he's been proven it the last couple games. Going into this game during our preseason pre-match episode, our biggest hurdle that we needed to overcome was our offensive line to protect Jordan Love. to be able to work this receiving core. The offensive line did their job. Jordan Love was only pressured 11 times in the entire game on 34 dropbacks. And it was not a pretty game for Jordan Love whatsoever. 3 interceptions, really just throwing the ball to nowhere at certain points of the game, missing his targets, throwing behind receivers, forcing balls into coverage. It was ugly. It was extremely ugly on his part, and he's fully to blame for this loss to the Raiders. I'll give him some slack on that second interception because the ball was deflected, but again, on that same play, he forced that pass and didn't need to throw that ball. There's a lot that needs to change with his game. He has the lowest pass percentage, the lowest completion percentage in the entire league when you look at starting quarterbacks, and we're going to go nowhere with this guy if something doesn't change. I hate that I'm sitting here and saying that I was correct because I did not want to be correct about this. Jordan Love is looking like a very weak quarterback and does not look NFL caliber whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I was watching something a little earlier, and somebody had actually just thrown out the option of listing him as playing like a backup quarterback, which, is what he was for the last 3 years behind an Aaron Rodgers. And now it's really starting to show that he may not be ready for this type of play. But with that being said, this is week 5. Hopefully they could look at some of the plays and see what they ended up doing, and he could clean up some stuff from here. Now, another person that I'd like to bring up in this would be head coach Matt LaFleur. So on top of Jordan Love's poor playing, would you say, Joe, that some of the play calling may have been in effect to this loss?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually a very big fan of Matt LaFleur. I think that his play calls, I think that his play schemes and his offensive schemes are very high caliber. I think that he's a very good coach, and I think that his strategies out there on the field are extremely high class. But with that being said, his play calls that he's been calling over these last couple games, especially in the game against the Raiders, shows me that he does not trust Jordan Love to make any type of decent passes. The dropbacks that he's making are very quick, short passes. I don't know if that's Jordan Love just not being able to read the field well. I don't know if that's the other team's secondaries just shutting down our receivers. I don't think that's the case, though. It really just seems it's one of two things. Either Matt LaFleur doesn't trust Jordan Love to make any type of big play, or Jordan Love is scared, flat out scared to make mistakes. And you can see what happens is when he's scared to make mistakes and his team gets down, then now he starts trying to force stuff and interceptions happen. So I really think it's a combination of Matt LaFleur not trusting him and him just being scared and being really indecisive. Hopefully more time under center will help his confidence, but right now he really looks like a lost quarterback. It has been looking bad the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can clean this up, okay? We got some rest because now we're getting ready to go into the bye week, which is a necessary bye week because we've got a lot of injured players right now, and I'm really hoping that this is going to give them some time to recoup, and we can end up going into week 7 with all of our players healthy, if not all, some of our key players, one of them being Aaron Jones. But leading into that, A.J. Dillon actually had a decent game. Welcome to some real good football there, A.J. Dillon. I mean, he ended up having 20 carries for 76 yards and 1 TD. And yeah, he was really making some plays happen out there, giving us that extra stretch on third downs to allow himself to gain enough yards for the first down and continue the drives. this is what we've needed. We've needed this the past couple weeks, and he finally showed up, which I was really impressed with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna harp back to our offensive line. We've been saying for the last couple episodes that our offensive line needs to step up. They stepped up this game against the Raiders. They did their job. They opened up holes. They gave Jordan Love some pass protection. They did their job. And what happens when they do their job? Our running back is actually able to do something. Imagine if we had Aaron Jones out there and he was able to run free. I know a lot of A.J. Dillon's runs were up the gut, and that's not really Aaron Jones' style, but we would have adjusted to the play calling. Again, like you just said, welcome to the season, A.J. Dillon. Way to step up and actually do your job. It's good to see you actually gain a little bit of momentum. There were some plays at the goal line where you look like you just ran into brick walls, but in some very crucial situations. I mean, we had a first and goal. I believe it was in the third quarter, and 3 straight plays went to A.J. Dillon on a run, and we just got stuffed every single time. Is that his fault, or is that Matt LaFleur's play calling? I don't know. But again, the two things that we really harped on last episode, again, were the offensive line and A.J. Dillon, and they stepped up and did their job this week against the Raiders. It sucks because our team, if they played the way they have been playing the entire season, and those two aspects of our team stepped up and played, we would have won this game. But we had some shortcomings, and again, it kind of falls all on Jordan Love this game.
Yeah. And, I mean, the other key point to bring up of why this game was actually so close was our defense. Now, I'm not going to say that our defense played great, okay? Because there were a couple things that I could mention. One of them being the Raiders' first touchdown. It's first and goal on the 10-yard line, and we've got Rasul Douglas standing inside the end zone. Okay, that's 10 yards right there. Why are you standing so back in that moment, which allowed Jacoby Myers enough time to be able to get the ball and just drive it right into the end zone? So there were a couple things, but overall, I mean, you look at the defense, and, I mean, we really were bringing on the pressure. And, I mean, a grand total of 4 sacks with 8 tackles for loss. So we really were stepping up, and, you know, it was kind of a little bit of everywhere. Preston Smith had a sack. Kingsley Enagbare had a sack. Rashawn Gary. I mean, we were really performing well. But allowing 17 points is nothing compared to what could have actually been the case. And so kudos to our defense for actually keeping us in this game. It's just unfortunate that our offense couldn't capitalize off of it.
Yeah, I agree. Was it the prettiest game that our defense has had this entire season? No, not at all. But like you just said, our defense is keeping us in these games. Our defense is allowing us an opportunity to win ball games, and our offense is not stepping up to the plate. We are putting a lot of pressure on this defense right now to make stops every single drive. We're putting a lot of pressure on this defense when they're out on the field a lot more often than they should be, because our offense is going 3 and out. Our defense is good. Our defense is good, especially when we get everyone healthy as well. We are a great defense, but we're not going to go anywhere if our offense can't even move the ball 5 yards. It's sad to see when we have such a great defense, but the other side of the ball isn't getting the job done, because it takes both sides of the ball to win ball games.
Yeah, correct. And, you know, I mean, just so many 3 and outs. There were a lot of 3 and outs that were happening on our offensive side, which, you know, allowed, once again, you know, I brought this up in the Lions game, time of possession. And this was a little more even than the Lions game was, but we had 27 minutes with the ball. They had 32 minutes time of possession. So, I mean, it was a little more even, but again, I mean, I just have to give the kudos to the defense, because it could have just really slipped away from us.
Yeah, and something else that I want to bring up that we haven't talked about yet is, in all prior games leading up to this game, when we were within 10 yards, when we were in a goal situation, first and goal situation, we had been perfect every single time in this season up before this game. We were 1-3 in red zone opportunities this week against the Raiders. And again, I talked about it a second ago. A.J. Dillon was running into a wall, was getting stuffed at the goal line a couple times. And those are the opportunities that we need to capitalize on, those red zone opportunities, because if we capitalize on just one more of those, we win the ball game. Clutch situations. Like, I really feel right now, Mateo, that there is not a leader out there on the field. I really feel that there is no leader out there on the field. And the reason why I say this is because the mistakes that we're making seem to continue to occur, like small mistakes. Not only small mistakes, but unnecessary penalties as well. Like, I really feel that there's no leadership on this ball club. Again, we are a young team, so I can understand why there's no leadership. But someone needs to step up. And I keep saying that, but that's the truth. Somebody needs to step up on this team, really take control of this team, and get these guys to perform like NFL players, because we're going to go nowhere. I texted you this earlier during the game. I was so frustrated, and I was like, let's just forget it. Jordan Love is not it. He is not it. Let's lose out the entire rest of the season. I can't believe I'm even talking about tanking already, that we're 2-3, and I'm already talking about tanking. But let's tank the rest of the season and go get Caleb Williams from USC. Because I guarantee you he's going to be a better quarterback than Jordan Love is.
Yeah, and most Packer fans feel that way. I've seen a lot of the quotes from a lot of Packer fans that are out there that are bringing up, maybe we just tank this season. But at the end of the day, these are NFL players. They're going to give it their all every time they step out on that field, and it's most likely not going to be the case. But at least a topic of discussion until week 13, week 14, and then we can kind of see where we're going from there. But until then, yeah, we really just need to figure out what to do. And I agree with you. Maybe there does just need to be a leader out there, somebody to just rally the guys in the huddle. Somebody makes a mistake, they get them back on track and say, come on, let's get this done. But until then, something does need to change. So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and then also, I'm looking at the schedule now. Last week when we talked about this, these next 4 games, or the 4 games that we had coming up, Raiders, Broncos, Vikings, Rams, we said that there's potential for them to go 3-1. I'm looking at these games now. Broncos, potentially a loss the way we're playing. Vikings, potentially a loss the way we're playing. Rams, definitely a loss the way we're playing. Steelers, they're not playing so well. Chargers loss. Lions loss. Chiefs loss. Giants maybe. Bucks loss. Panthers maybe. Vikings loss. Bears maybe, but Bears have been playing good the last couple weeks as well. So that's I don't see any more wins the rest of this season. I really don't.
Just
the
with
way that
we're
playing.
playing.
Exactly. And again, maybe I'm just overreacting a little bit because of how we played, but I'm looking at our schedule, Mateo. I'm seeing maybe 2 more wins. Maybe. And I think if that's correct, if we win 2 more wins, guess what? My preseason prediction for our season record is exactly right. 4-13.
Correct. Yeah. And I never thought I would have seen the day, but a lot of football left to go. So let's see if your prediction ends up being right. I sure hope it isn't. Anyways, now we need to go into this. And I think all of our West Coast Cheesehead Packer fans out there know this. But Joe, who is your stinky cheesehead player of the day?
I don't think there's any question. It's Jordan Love. He was beyond stinky. He was trash cheese. He was trash cheese, and he was terrible. He was awful, and I have nothing but terrible words to say about him. He is by far the stinky cheesehead of the day.
Yeah, I'm with you with it. Jordan Love, unfortunately, you do get my stinky cheesehead play of the day. And it saddens me to say it. I'm really trying to rally through with you, okay? But we need to see some better performance out of you in these next coming weeks. Okay, and trying to look on the bright side of this, who would be your Gouda cheesehead player of the day?
Yeah, so my Gouda goes to our defense. Again, we haven't... Actually, I have two Goudas. Although our defense, it wasn't the prettiest game against the Raiders, our defense is keeping us in every single game this season and allowing us an opportunity to win. So my Gouda goes to our defense. And then also my Gouda goes to Anders Carlson. He has been perfect this entire season on field goals and extra points. Two of the aspects of our team that are actually clicking on mostly good aspects this season. So our defense and Anders Carlson are my Gouda cheeseheads of the week.
And that's great to hear, too, for Anders Carlson. I mean, because I was a little shaky with him in preseason. He was missing a couple key, easy extra points and just extra field goals for 3. He was missing a couple things, but he really has been clutch this whole season, and he's making some big-time balls, too. So kudos to you, Anders Carlson. Thanks for proving me wrong. I have to go with A.J. Dillon on this one. I know we've really been getting down on him, but he really stepped it up for us during this game. And, yeah, I mean, glad to see you kind of get your steps right, A.J. So let's hope you can keep it up. And with this bye week coming up, maybe you can get some relief and we can finally get some Showtime action, some Aaron Jones, baby. But anyways, that does it for this episode, this painful episode. But again, we thank you all so much for joining us on the West Coast Cheeseheads podcast. And if you haven't yet, please smash or hit that like button and be notified whenever new episodes come out. Also, please find and follow us on Facebook at West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast, Instagram at WC Cheeseheads Podcast, or Twitter and TikTok at WC Cheeseheads. We truly appreciate it and thank each of you for joining us on the West Coast Cheeseheads podcast. We may not like the cold, but certainly still rep the green and gold. Go Pack Go. Have a good one.